Welcome to the Etsy Entrepreneur Podcast, where sellers can get help starting, building, and growing their Etsy business so that they can make extra money pursuing their passion. Are you ready to get the tips and strategies you need to be successful? Then let's get started. Here is your host, a top 1% full-time Etsy seller, LL.
Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to the Etsy Entrepreneur Podcast. Glad to have you back. As always, hopefully you're doing well and your families are doing well. So I got a special episode for you guys. This is an episode where I'm going to go over and answer some questions that were submitted or asked by other Etsy sellers out there. People that, just like you, that need help with growing and building their Etsy shop, reaching their Etsy goals. So I wanted to share some of these questions with you today on the podcast to help you with your Etsy shop. They're hopefully something that you've wanted to know or will want to know in the future, and you can get something out of it and use it to benefit your own shop and improve your shop. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right in and go over some of these questions that were asked by Etsy sellers. Hope you guys enjoy. What's the best way to photograph clothing? So that really depends. Clothing, the main thing with all photographs, the photography in general, is the lighting. I mean, that is really key. A lot of people make the mistake, and I made this mistake early on, is just, the quality is just not good when there's not good lighting. So you can either use natural light, which is you have to have a well-lit, naturally lit room, or you can even do it outside. But a lot of times there's a lot of problems with that, with glare and stuff like that. So realistically, the easiest way, and what I recommend, is if you have smaller stuff, is to get a light kit or a light box. And you can get that off Amazon pretty cheap, usually $100. I have a light kit, which is basically 3 lights that have the little umbrellas. And I turn them all on, then I, lay out my stuff on the floor. If your floor's decently nice, if you have like hardwoods or something, I lay them out and take photos there where the lighting is good. And then once you take them, you can edit them. A lot of phones have, you can edit them on the phone. You don't have to have anything crazy like Photoshop. I do use Photoshop as well, but you can edit them right on your phone. You just got to make sure that you're not editing it so much where it's changing the colors, because a lot of people make that mistake too. They play around with all these crazy filters and like, wow, it looks nice. Then it's a different color, so the customer gets it, and it's a completely different color or shade than what they wanted. And I made this mistake early on because my biggest Etsy store is a clothing company. I sell graphic tees and stuff like that. I was editing. I had a green shirt, and I really didn't like the way that it looked. So I edited it to make it look a little bit a different shade of green. And then I had a bunch of people that were unhappy. So I quickly had to go back and change it. So I learned the hard way when it came to messing around with your filters. So just try to make it as good as you can, how it actually looks. But yeah, lighting and setup too. Let me hit on that. So a lot of times too, I see people take photographs of whatever you're selling, and the background really starts to take away from the image. So if the background, a lot of people try to get real creative and real crazy with their background, and they have a bunch of stuff. Like I just coached someone the other day, and they had all these flowers and stuff in the background, and it just took away from their item. Their item got lost. When I was looking at the picture, I immediately looked at all these crazy flowers, and I didn't even see what they were selling. While the picture did look nice, when people are scrolling through the little thumbnails when they're searching for products, you want your item to really pop out. And that's especially true with like jewelry and stuff like that. You want to try and have like a white background or something where it makes your item pop out, so they quickly stop scrolling. It jumps out at them. They see their item. So if it's well lit, the background doesn't take away from it. It will really jump out at them. They'll want to stop and actually look at the item. So kind of keep it simple as much, but there's different things that you guys can do to kind of set yourself apart. But yeah, a lot of times you don't need a crazy camera. You just need your phone, and you just need it to be decently lit. And if you can show the item, so the main picture should show the item as clearly as possible where it kind of pops out. And then if possible, show your item in use, like either staged somewhere, like if it's in a room, or if it's, clothing being worn if possible. And then also too, if you could show your item where people can tell the size, like a lot of times with jewelry, if you have a picture of it on, you can kind of see the size. Or if you have in someone's hand, you can kind of see the size of if you're selling something small. Just quickly, I know a lot of people put the size stuff in the description, but people don't always look at that. They just look at the pictures. So you want to be able to quickly tell people how big it is by seeing it. Don't put that picture first, but have that in one of your pictures where they're scrolling through, they can see the size of it. So hopefully that answers your question. I know that's a kind of a long-winded explanation, but those are all good tips that kind of I use when I'm talking about photography. I'm completely new to starting an Etsy business, equestrian horse items and embroidery items. I'm picking my business name and would like to know the rules and laws on names. Can you guide me to this? So the thing about naming your shop is there is limited characters. I don't know off the top of my head. I want to say it's around 20 characters. So what you may have to do is, so there's a couple problems when you're picking a name. Either your name's going to be taken or your name's going to be too big. So you may have to abbreviate your name, or you may have to come up with another name. You can still brand your shop how you want to brand it, even if you have to abbreviate it, take out the vowels and kind of abbreviate a little bit because it's too long. So have your shop name abbreviated, that's fine. But then when you create your logo and your brand, just have your full name in there. It can kind of vary like that a little bit. So I wouldn't overthink that too much, but probably the biggest problem you'll run into is your name will be taken.
Are certain names more likely to come up, like on the internet? Sometimes I understand it goes alphabetically. Does it matter what your name is from that standpoint?
It may. So your name may play a part of SEO search, but it's super limited. And that was a mistake that I made early on, was I heard that it could possibly help me in SEO, and I changed my name and I didn't see any difference. If anything, it hurt me because it wasn't really a great name. It was just a name for SEO. So I wouldn't worry it from an SEO standpoint. I would worry about it from a brand that you feel comfortable with, that's yours, that's kind of your own, and that's, you feel good about. So there's a lot of other ways that play into SEO with your listings. Your shop name's really not that important when it comes to that.
Will you talk to some of those issues about SEO and what comes up and what doesn't? And I have one more question. If you don't like your name, do you close your store or just rename it?
You just rename it. So you can pick one, you can rename your store right away, one time. And then after that, Etsy it basically has to go to Etsy for approval and takes a couple of days. So either way, you can continue to change your name. It's just after the first time you have to wait a few days, but it's not really a big deal. So I just started selling on Etsy as well. I have a similar question. I am making macrame, but also want pillow covers and other decorative items. Are customers more interested in single branch of product, but like variety in one store? Okay, yeah. So kind of like what I was just saying, if you sell multiple things, I would just brand your shop where it's not specific. Like you wouldn't brand it Emily's pillow covers if you were going to sell macrame and stuff like that. Do it like Emily's Designs or Craft Creations or something like that, where it's kind of a little bit more broad. And then you can, it doesn't bootstrap you either. You can kind of broaden out and try different stuff. I know a lot of you guys are really creative, have a lot of ideas. So if you don't pick a name that's super specific, it enables you to kind of branch out where it makes a little bit more sense. But at the end of the day, if you have stuff in there that's not 100% related to your name, it's not a huge deal. SEO. I'm going to go through, so I could talk about this all day. And I know a lot of you guys struggle with SEO, which, I did early on. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was just throwing stuff on the wall. So let me go through some best practices to kind of get you started. And I want you guys to keep in mind that if you hear one thing, like if a person tells you do this one thing, and this is the way that you should do it, that is not right? There's there's more than one way to do this. And the key with being successful is knowing the right strategies to implement, but testing out the strategies. Not the same thing isn't going to work for every niche. And you shouldn't always do the same thing when it comes to SEO. You shouldn't always set up things the same way. You got to try new things. SEO is constantly evolving. So you just have to be consistent and open to trying new things, going back and fixing things over time and cleaning up things over time. So yeah, you got to be open to trying new strategies, trying new things, and just not doing everything always the same. But the best practices when you set up your listing. So SEO, let me kind of backtrack a little bit. So SEO is important for your listings, number one, your shop, number two. So SEO comes into play with your shop, in terms of Etsy wants to make sure that they're sending people to quality shops. How do they determine quality shops? Well, first off, they determine quality shops by making sure that you have everything filled out on your shop. Doesn't have to be perfect. You can go back and fix it later. But if you're missing your policy section, if you're missing your about me, if you don't have a logo, chances are you're not going to get a lot of traffic. And the traffic that comes there is not going to be real excited or real confident, rather, of buying from you because it looks kind of generic. It's kind of like going to a flea market versus going to Target. You go to a flea market, you're like, everything's thrown around, not organized, not complete. You're like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to get. You go to Target, everything's in order, that's branded, you know what you're going to get. So just fill out everything that helps your SEO, it helps your professionalism. That's number one. Number two, as far as your listing goes, title and tags come into play most when it comes to SEO, because that's what comes up in search. That's how people find you. So you want to make sure that you're using high quality specific keywords in your title and in your tags. And you're using multiple keywords in your title and your tags, because every keyword is the potential to reach a possible customer and audience. So every keyword that you don't use, you're losing potential. So it's all about increasing the odds to be seen. And then the more you're seen, the more odds are that people are going to buy from you. That's all what keywords and SEO is about. So as you're filling out your title, a good way to set it up is to think about a very specific keyword first, because the first keyword, and I say keyword singular, but keywords can be multiple words together to form one keyword. So your first keyword should be your best keyword in your title, because it holds the most weight when it comes to SEO search. But you want it to be specific. And how Etsy deems specific keywords, they call them long tail keywords. It's basically 3 or more words put together. So if you type your first keyword, if it's gold necklace, that's super broad. That you're going to have 5 million results come up under that. But if your first keyword is gold, green pendant, silver necklace, that's super specific. That's going to narrow down the search results. And if someone types that in, they're probably going to find you because it's a super specific keyword. So start with the best keyword first, the most specific keyword first. And then from there, start filling in other keywords that are descriptive and specific. You can broaden out as you go along. You can broaden out keywords that aren't as specific, but the key is to get as many high quality keywords in your title as possible. And you can play around with what keywords are in your title and how broad you want to make them, but as long as they're not super broad. You don't just want to put in necklace or jewelry. You want to tie words to that to make it more specific. And then you want to do the same thing in tags. You want to make sure all your tags are filled out, because again, if you're not filling out all of your tags, you're missing opportunities to be seen and to be found. Now your tags are a little bit trickier because they are limited. It's only 22 characters. So a good best practice is just to bring your keywords that are in your title down into your tags, as many as you can, because you're going to have extra spaces. There's probably going to be another 5, 6 openings after you put all your title tags in your title keywords in your tags. And if the keywords are too long from your title, just break it up into multiple keywords, because green pendant diamond necklace is going to be way too long. So break it up, green pendant and diamond necklace, that's 2 tags. So you do that with your long tail keywords that are too long to fit in your tags, and then you fill up all of your tag spots. Just try to be specific. Your tags are a little bit harder to be as specific because they're so much shorter. So if you're a little bit more broad in your tags, that's fine, as long as you have very specific keywords in your title, so you can ensure that you get found. So that's kind of a best practice of the way to set it up. Now, there's a lot of different strategies that you can go about with SEO and titles and tags. I'm not going to be able to get into all of those today. I talk about a lot of those in my masterclass, but that's kind of the best practices, and that'll give you guys a good start with setting up your title and tags appropriately. And then you just look as you're, over time, you check your stats and you kind of see, am I getting traffic from these? Because a lot of the other mistake that people make too is they'll do a listing, they'll do their SEO, their title and tags, and then a week later they'll change it. A week later they'll change it again. We have to give the search algorithm time to take effect. So a lot of people get frustrated because they're not getting any traffic, but they keep changing it every week. So you gotta make those changes and let it ride for several weeks, if not a month or two, before the algorithm picks it up and you start seeing traffic. You want to let it go and see for a decent amount of time, and then you can kind of see, am I getting enough traffic? No, I'm not getting traffic. Maybe it's a keyword problem. If I'm getting a lot of traffic and then no sales, well, there's probably another issue going on. There's probably a problem with, the photo, the pricing, something like that.
All right, guys, that is it for today. That's all the time we have. Hopefully you got a lot out of those questions and you can apply them to grow your Etsy shop. If you guys are looking to improve your Etsy shop and really kind of hit the ground running with growing and advancing your Etsy business, I would like to invite you to join my Etsy Traffic and Sales Masterclass. It has over 20 courses showing you exactly how to grow and improve your shop, the exact stuff that I've done in my shop to get to the top 1% of all Etsy sellers and make my entire living on Etsy. It also has a help forum so you can work with me directly, get any question answered, and most importantly, get the support you guys need so you don't feel alone, you don't feel trapped, you don't feel lost. You can get in now. I'm doing a free 30-day trial because I know you're going to get in there and you're going to love it. You're going to want to continue working with me. You're going to want to have that support and want to have those tools and resources available to you. So join at the bottom in the show notes. There's going to be a link to get your free 30-day trial. I really hope to see you guys in there. I would love to work with you and improve your Etsy shop, just like I have hundreds of other Etsy sellers. Talk to you guys soon. Have an awesome rest of your day.